When dealing with Deuteronomy 18 and the prophecy of Prophet Muhammad peace be upon him, watch how Dr. Brown stays away from the Septuagint and focuses solely on the Masoretic reading.
So Deuteronomy 18:15, Navi mikir b'cha me'achacha kamoni yakim lecha Adonai Elohecha elav tishma'un. It's quite explicit. He will be mikir b'cha from your own midst, which occurs in the Torah 11 times, and every single time in the Torah, without exception, explicitly means from the midst of your people Israel, not from your brother nations, as you heard. That is not only adding to the Bible, it is twisting it and turning it upside down.
Dr. Brown says that Deuteronomy says Mikerev Ka, which means within you, is used 11 times in the book of Deuteronomy. So that means he must be an Israelite. What Dr. Brown is doing is he's appealing to the Masoretic text of Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse number 15, that has been expanded on to have the phrase from within you of your brothers. The Septuagint lacks those words. The Qumran scrolls lack them words. Acts chapter 3, when it quotes the same word, lacks them words. Acts chapter 7, when it quotes them words, lacks them words. And even in the Masoretic text, 3 verses later, when the actual the words of God are spoken, the words from within you are not mentioned. Moreover, scholars say that was expanded in the text to make it look like it must be an Israelite by blood, and I've got the quotes here anyway.
And the rule is, if one letter you erase from the Torah, one word, the Torah is not kosher. You can put it in a box and send it with UPS. You can put it in a box and send it with UPS.
This is from the footnotes of the New English Translation Bible. Deuteronomy 18:15. It says the following: the MT expands here on the usual formula by adding from among you. The expansion seems to be for the purpose of emphasis, that is, the prophet to come must be not just from Israel but an Israelite by blood.
10 times in Deuteronomy alone, it says, Mikir b'cha, drive out the evil from your midst. It always means, without exception, 100 times out of 100 in the Torah, from the midst of your people Israel. Was Muhammad an Israelite? No. Case closed. We don't even need to discuss it any further.
We know very well what the words, from your midst, mean, Dr. Brown. But you are not answering the issue that Zakir Hussain raised. These words are missing from the Septuagint.
The Septuagint lacks those words.
Why are you not answering the problem that these words were interpolated into the Masoretic text? Why are you instead beating around the bush, Dr. Brown? Why are you clinging with your life to the Masoretic reading in this instance? Why, Dr. Brown? Why?
As to the technical term, me'achecha, when you have it together, mikarev achecha, from the midst of your brothers, or mikir b'cha, me'achecha, from your own midst, from your brothers, it's only one meaning. Only one meaning in the Torah. Every single time, without exception, from the midst of your own people, Israel. It's not only adding to the Bible, it is twisting it and turning it upside down.
And here we go.
Twisting it and turning it upside down.
To deny the prophecy of Prophet Muhammad peace be upon him in Deuteronomy, Dr. Brown didn't even want to touch on the Septuagint. Now we will see the double standards of these highly academic Christian apologists, where to prove the prophecy of Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, the Septuagint now suddenly will hold a lot of weight.
Jews have always translated the word ka'ari to mean, like a lion. But Christians, in order to fit Prophet Jesus alayhi salam into the prophecy, had to reinvent the word to mean dig or pierce.
Do you not think this would be the first passage the New Testament would have quoted in order to let the Jews know that the Messiah has to be crucified? Yet not one book of the New Testament quoted this passage, the clearest passage in the whole of the Old Testament that the Messiah is going to get crucified. Do you think Matthew looked at this and said, although this text says they pierced my hands and feet, clear prophecy of Jesus, I cannot be bothered to write this in my gospel for all these Jews to see. The reason being is because that text did not exist in that form at that time. The original Hebrew says ka'ari, that means like a lion, they came at my hands and feet.
Ka'ari. But there are strong Jewish reasons for questioning if that is the right text. And so the evidence that we have, the oldest Hebrew manuscript carrying this psalm from the Dead Sea Scrolls does not read Ka'ari with the final Yud, but Ka'aru. The letters are very close. One is just longer than the other, final Vav versus final Yud. And Ka'aru could mean to dig through, to bore through, hence to pierce. The Septuagint, which is the oldest translation we have of the Hebrew into another language, reads, they pierced. And then we talk about the Masoretic text as if there was just one text. There's the Masoretic textual tradition with thousands and thousands of manuscripts. And there are about a dozen of them that have variant readings and read Karu or Ka'aru, which again would be saying that the reading that we have from the Dead Sea Scrolls is even preserved in medieval Hebrew manuscripts. So this is an entirely Jewish translation issue. It has nothing to do with later Christians changing anything. It's simply a matter of saying which is the most accurate original Jewish text, and you could make a strong argument for something they dug through, they bore through, they pierced as being the original Hebrew reading. Here you have a reading from the Dead Sea Scrolls that would be in harmony with the Septuagint, because otherwise you say, where did they get dig or pierce from? Well, it seems to be the oldest Hebrew manuscript says that, and then the Syriac also says that as well. So normally when you have that threefold witness, and then also on top of which you don't normally have some manuscripts, some Masoretic manuscripts, a tiny minority, but still some reflect it, then you'd say, oh, yeah, that's the most likely reading. Right. So from a text critical viewpoint, the most likely reading of Psalm 22 is they pierced or they dug through, they bore through my hands and feet. That's the most likely original reading of the Hebrew based on Jewish sources and Jewish scholarship.
So why doesn't the same principle apply to Deuteronomy 18:15? Why the double standards? Shouldn't we be applying the same standards in this case and take the Septuagint and various other sources as the more authoritative ones?
Come on, explain. You are cheating somebody.
So Masoretic text verse number 18 exposes this falsehood. Septuagint exposes this falsehood. Samaritan exposes it. Acts chapter 3 exposes it. Acts chapter 7 exposes it. But did you notice in the debate, Dr. Brand wouldn't get away from the Masoretic text, even though when rabbis use the Masoretic text against the Christians to say that the New Testament contradicts what the Masoretic text says, all over his book, Dr. Brand tries to show that the Masoretic text is not the authoritative text, and he appeals to other texts. Like he'll appeal to variants and the Talmud quoted the Old Testament, and he'll appeal to the Dead Sea Scrolls, he'll appeal to the Targums. But all of a sudden in this debate, he wanted to cling to the Masoretic text. Isn't that interesting?
I urge you to have the courage to follow the truth wherever it leads, because the stakes are very high.
قل يا أهل الكتاب لا تغلوا في دينكم غير الحق ولا تتبعوا أهواء قوم قد ضلوا من قبل وأضلوا كثيرا وضلوا عن سواء السبيل